Hi guys, Map of VP, welcome to my YouTube channel. It's your girl Witness, and if you're new to this channel, please welcome and don't forget to like, to comment and subscribe. Yes, so I want to go through Finland visa. As I told you, most of Schengen countries, all the requirements, most of them are similar. But make sure that if you want to apply for Schengen visa for a specific country like Switzerland, just make sure that go to the specific website. But most of the requirements are the same throughout country, but there are some additions. For example, in Denmark, you don't necessarily need flight itinerary. You don't need that in Denmark, and you won't be rejected if you don't show that. But in Sweden and in Finland, it's very important you show travel itinerary, flight ticket reservation. It's very important. So let's get into Finland application. Finland visa application. What are the necessary documents that you need? Requirements differ from the purpose of your travel. So a person who goes for tourism, the requirements will be slightly different with a person who goes for business, private visit, like family and friends, that will be different, or medical treatment, and like study, conference, or professional training, sports and cultural events. So those one will differ. Before applying for a visa, make sure that you select the right one. If you come for sports, select sport. If you come for visiting, select friends and family, select visiting. So you must know the kind of visa that you're applying before start your application. First of all, you'll be required to fill out the form, like Schengen visa application form, and there is a Schengen visa that I showed. It's not much of difference with this one, but this one I'll take you through the requirements. You must have your passport. Your passport must be valid for minimum of 3 months after the planned journey, issued within previous 10 years and have at least 2 blank pages. So if your passport is full, you need to have a new passport before you apply. So other documents, so if you have previous travel history, like you have been traveling around the world in Africa or European country, so you will have to print out those pages that shows that, like the stamp, the immigration stamp in different country, you have to present that. But if you don't have, then you're good. So you need to have travel medical insurance. Travel medical insurance is very important, and the price of travel medical insurance differ from person to person and from purpose of travel. So if you're going to work, if you're going to study, that will be different from the person who's going to visit, and visiting, it differs with the number of days that you're going there. So if a person is visiting for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the price will be less than the person who visits in 90 days. Another requirement is you should show documents confirming the purpose of the journey. So proof of itinerary. So flight booking, you should provide flight booking, like when are you expecting to travel and when are you expecting to travel back. One thing that you should know: do not pay for the ticket before you get your visa. But you can go to a flight, like if you want to travel like with KLM, with Qatar, you can go there and they can give you a reservation, like flight reservation. Proof of sufficient means to cover accommodation. If you're going to stay in a hotel, you have to show that you can show the hotel reservation, from what time to time, and the proof that you'll be able to pay for that accommodation. And if you're going to visit a friend, you can provide the address of the person that you're going to visit. And you don't have to pay for a hotel if you're going to Finland for tourist activities. Don't pay for a hotel before your visa is granted. You can just reserve. So you have to provide a national ID. So if you're a Tanzanian, you have to provide a NIDA, like national identity number, a card to support your documents, proof of employment. So if you're working, you have to provide a contract, like work contract. You have to provide proof of employment, written clarification of income. So these ones, they want income, and occupation. So you have to earn how much you earn and the occupation. And employee has to write a valid date and signed word contract, stamped and dated letter from the employee. So you need to have your employee letter with stamp and signed, indicating the applicant. So this letter from your employee has to indicate your date of hiring, position, whether you're working full-time or part-time, monthly or annual salary. The letter must state the contact information, address, phone number, email, as well as the name, position, and signature of the officer. Salary slip for the past 3 months, you have to provide that. And if you're a student, you have to provide a student card, written proof of studies, or an official letter from school, which is stamped and dated, yes. And the letter must state the subject and level of studies. Parents or guardians income. If they are one sponsoring you, you should write your parents' income, bank statement, salary slips, everything. And if you're a housewife, you just have to write clarification of income of a spouse. What does he do? Work contract, bank statement, salary slips. And if you're an entrepreneur or self-employed, make sure that you have business registration document indicating the name of the company owner. TIN certificate. You need to have TIN certificate, and you need to have tax clearance certificate for the past year. For 1 year, you have to need tax certificate. Original company bank statement for the past 6 months. So you need to have bank statement if you're self-employed. That's why I've been telling people, if you have a company, for example, where I come from in Tanzania, entrepreneur does not necessarily need to have all of this. Yes, like small entrepreneur does not need to have this in Tanzania. You just have to pay some fees, but they don't have a lot of documents. So if you're not sure, if you don't have all these documents, if you don't have TIN number, tax clearance certificate, business registration, just write unemployed. Because once you write that you're self-employed, you have a business, all this will be required. You'll have to provide all these documents. But if you have, then you're very good to go. So, and you might be unemployed, and you might get the visa. It's not necessary that you're employed. If you're able to show that you're very strong, like you have a strong ties, like you have all the lands and the other thing apart from employment. Another thing is proof of financial means. Applicant's original personal bank account statement covering at least 3 months. So you need, even if your trip is full sponsored by your parents, not in case of student, but if you're a student, your parents can cover you. But if you're coming like for traveling, and maybe your friend or family in Finland is covering all your expenses, you have to provide your personal statement. Even if your trip is full funded, what if you get an emergency in the EU and you don't have money? So yes, they have to see that. They need to see that at least 3 months. If you're retired, you need to write then proof of pension. You are a resident and you work in Tanzania and you want to come to Finland and you're not Tanzanian, just show that your proof, your residence permit, your work permit, So if you're a child under 18 minor, you have to provide birth certificate, passport, and ID copies for both parents. But if you're not minor, documents are when parents or guardians not traveling together with the child. So permission to travel from the guardian, you can written one, death certificate. If one or both parents are dead, you have to provide it, and written consent letter signed and stamped by notary public from both parents and guardians. And court decision of custody if you're sharing a child. Like you're traveling to more than 1 Schengen countries, you apply a Schengen visa to a country where you'll spend most of the days. Let's say that you're visiting Finland for 20 days and you'll go to Sweden for 5 days. So Finland will be the embassy that you will apply for your Schengen visa. And if you want to visit, that's according to the website. They say that. And if you have the equal stays of days in the Schengen countries, so you apply for the country that will be there first. For example, you're going to Finland for 10 days, and you're going to Sweden for 10 days, and you're going to Netherlands for 10 days. You apply Schengen visa through you apply Schengen visa through Finland embassy, the first country of destination. Yeah, so I hope that makes sense, and thank you so much for watching. If you have any question, comment below, and I'll be very glad.